My name is Councillor Sue Hatton. I'm a ward member for Sussex and I'm chairman of this committee, and this is Councillor Paul Lucroft, who is vice chairman. I welcome the 5 members of the cabinet here tonight as well. And without more ado, we'll go to substitutes in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 4. We have Councillor Avery for Councillor Ellis and Councillor Janice Henwood for Councillor Duncan Pascoe. You're very welcome. And apologies for absence are from Councillor Ellis and Councillor Pascoe. And I go to item 3, which is to receive declarations of any interest from members in respect of matters on the agenda. Are there any? Yes?
I intend to raise something under agenda item 6 on the work programme, so I feel I need to declare that I am the Cabinet Member for Children, Young People, Learning and Skills at West Sussex County Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to the item 4, which is the general affirmation for minutes of the previous scrutiny committees held on the 8th of March and the 24th of May. Louise, would you like to take us on to that, please?
Yes, good evening, members. So, as we'll know, this is the first scrutiny committee of the new council, and therefore the scrutiny committee has changed in both title and members since those meetings. So I can confirm that we've reviewed the meetings against the video broadcast, and they are an accurate representation. I can recommend them to you. Thank you.
Right. So on this occasion, Louise has told us all that they are minutes of a meeting that we've had previously. Can you see that they were the correct record by showing a show of hands, please? Have a show of hands? Yeah, thank you. All right to sign. Yeah. Thank you. So we go on to item 5, which is to consider any items that the chairman agrees to take as urgent business, and I have none. So we go rapidly on to item 6, Scrutiny Committee Work Programme, and I'll invite Louise again to introduce the report, please. Thank you.
So, members, you all have the work programme report in front of you, which is a starter for your discussion and debate this evening. There are a range of topics that are listed there, some of which, for example, the budget, which does need to come to this scrutiny at a particular point in the cycle. But beyond that, it's open for members to debate and come to a conclusion on the work programme. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Has anybody anything they want to raise? Councillor Russell. Councillor Russell.
Thank you. So as I've already declared, I am the West Sussex Cabinet Member for Children, Young People, Learning and Skills. And what I'd like to request is that we assign, under the guise of social housing and communities, that we include an investigation or a review or a consideration into sourcing care leaver accommodation in collaboration with West Sussex County Council. And if I could just elaborate on that a bit, West Sussex County Council works in partnership with a charity called the National House Project, and there is the West Sussex House Project. We already have Crawley Borough Council as a partner, and they have sourced accommodation for our first cohort of care leavers. And basically, we need all of our districts and boroughs to partner with us at West Sussex County Council. So I'm really raising the matter this evening because I would like the District Council to consider looking into this further. If it's via a task and finish group, I'm more than happy to support in my capacity as District Councillor and also as West Sussex County Council Cabinet Member. So I'd just like to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want me to come back?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Russell. Yes, I think we can take that away and work that up into a paper to this committee. We'll be pleased to work with you on that. Thank you.
Anybody else have any points they want to raise? Right, Councillor Lucroft.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to raise a couple of issues, actually. Firstly, in terms of our engagement with communities in the parishes and towns in Mid-Sussex and how we do that and how it works for the council and what can we do to improve that engagement. And the second one is around revenues and benefits and advice to residents in terms of cost of living crisis that is impacting on them, and how does the council provide support and advice to citizens to help them through that. Obviously we're providing revenue and benefit support, but how is that widened or broadened out to support other concerns that residents may have?
Thank you.
To come back?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for those two ideas. Yes, I think the first one, how we work with parishes and towns is something we think about very regularly, but I think that would benefit from a refresh look if the rest of the committee support that. And I might just defer to Simon on the revs and bends. I think that's, I've got no particular issue with that, but let's just check as the relevant assistant director or director. Is that right, Si?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, absolutely. We can look at your request in terms of probably bringing a paper forward to describe the situation as it is currently, and then putting that in front of scrutiny to see whether you want to take that any further, whether there are further actions you want to look at, or whether you want to review that in and of itself and review its effectiveness. But we're already doing quite a lot on cost of living, so probably behoove us to bring you up to date on that so that scrutiny can take a look at it and see what you think.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Henwood.
Oh, thank you. I'm quite interested in the tying in with the housing, enabling housing options, might possibly tie in with care leaver accommodation. And this is to do with our social housing providers. We have at least 3 in Burgess Hill. We all rather know Clarion, sort of one of the ones, and we also got High Martlet, we also got Stonewater. And I think the Cabinet, I noticed in item number 15, that's also listed, I think, with possible Cabinet members or officers, work with social housing partners. I noticed that's on the list. I really would like to have some more information and contact with them, communication, report, etc., on how well they're doing their jobs. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Before I go to Councillor Eggleston, is there anybody else who's an actual member of the committee who has anything they want to raise or any views on the list that the provisional list that's on page 11? Yes, Councillor Brown. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. Starting off with the first one, resources and waste strategy. Perhaps we could have a little explanation of what the thoughts are and intention are around that, particularly with resources. I mean, waste strategy, I think, is something that I've been seeking to understand the way forward on that for the last 2 or 3 years. So perhaps a little explanation on that, and I'd welcome a closer examination of the way forward on waste, collection and disposal of waste. Then the other one I'd like to bring up is that's not here at all, something that affects the whole district really, and that an emerging issue which might have a change of direction now under the new council, and that is Clare Hall. At some stage, I would imagine that the professional advice that we've sought will be coming to the Cabinet to make more decisions. So prior to that, I'd like to see some discussion that brought forward. I don't know at what time in the programme, but that would be my request. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. I think Clare Hall's probably the other Scrutiny Committee, but I'll ask Catherine to answer that one, please.
So Clare Hill's on the work programme for the other Scrutiny Committee. Okay, so it's captured. And I'm just going to ask Si to make a comment on your first point about the Environment Act and resources and waste strategy.
Thank you, yes. So our approach and our waste strategy is heavily influenced by the Environment Act. And as you may be aware, the government are still consulting on elements of that. So there are things where we think we know where it might be going, but there's no particular legislation in place at the moment. So what we can do is provide you with an update on where we are, what we know, what's like to be planned, and what our ways are for managing that. And we can include both waste disposal and waste collection in that.
Thank you. Happy? Yeah. Okay. Councillor Eggleston.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I only really want to make 2 points. One is to just reassure, this is a new administration, is to reassure members of the Scrutiny Committee, is what I said to the other Scrutiny Committee as well, is that we're very conscious that the role of scrutiny is to scrutinise the work of the executive, and that the separation of power between the executive and scrutiny committee is paramount, and it's very important, and we give you that reassurance as a cabinet that we expect you as a scrutiny committee to do your work in an unfettered way, to look at the policies that the administration brings forward and apply your minds to it in a hopefully friendly way if critical. So just to give you all that comfort. The second thing I'd like to say is that this is your committee, this is your scrutiny committee, and that you can think as widely and as broadly as you like in terms of the areas that you wish to cover. Just be mindful that we do not have limitless staff resource in the organisation, so be careful in what you want us to take on, because we're not, our resources are finite. And in terms of doing that, what we're probably more interested in is less the explanation. Explanations are important, but less the explanation and more how do we hone and refine policy in a way that we implement change as an administration. So I just ask you to bear that in mind, that the purpose of what we're trying to achieve is good policy that can be rolled out to our community. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a long list here, and there's lots of other things that people will think about as we go along. But, the officers have to do reports and put feelers out and work things out. So I'd like to have some sort of view of priorities, really, for the things that have been mentioned today and things that are on the page 11 on the items list. It won't be necessarily in the order that you would like them to be. It depends how the officers can do the report or get in touch with outside people to come in and talk to us. We have only 3 meetings up until the 17th of April, and the one in January has to be about the corporate plan and budget. So you can see we haven't got a vast area to allow this to happen. But certainly I think the officers would like some indication of what your priorities might be. Does anybody have any particular item on the list or something that's been talked about now that they would like to be looked at first, shall we say? You would like yours, obviously, yeah.
Well, I'd love mine looked at first,
Okay.
but I do appreciate it's
Yes.
another authority, and I do understand that there needs to be some dialogue behind the scenes. I'm more than happy to help facilitate that with the CEO.
Thank you. I mean, one of the items there as well is about, looking at health services and GP services, and I'm sure we're all very aware of that as well. So that would be an outside body coming in to talk to us, so that would need to be worked out. And then we've got the housing enabling, Clarion. I don't know if everybody thinks that might be something that we should be talking about. Maybe our cabinet member would like to say something about that. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes. I very much welcome a discussion around the issues associated with Clarion and their provision of perhaps the entire community of housing associations across the district. I'm particularly interested in the issues associated with the ageing aspect of the housing that we have in this district and the problems that many of our tenants are facing at the moment and the abilities of the housing associations to address that. And I think that would be a very good area for scrutiny indeed, so that we could look across that. And certainly if we could address it with a nod to the other half of my portfolio in terms of the sustainable economy, what we're going to do about decarbonisation of that estate as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Henwood.
Thank you. I would support what Councillor Gibson has said. I mean, we've got three, as I say, in Burgess Hill, not just Clarion. We've got Hyde Martlet, we've got Stone Water. So thank you for that. But could I ask Councillor Russell, I'm curious about the care leaver accommodation. Do you ever use any of our social housing providers for this? Would you mind a bit more information? I find this quite interesting. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, through the chair. So it's something that works in the background operationally, and it's really more about, we run the house project, which obviously we have the statutory responsibility for care leavers, and what we're trying to do is prevent the number of care leavers that end up homeless after 2.5 years. It's about over 30%, because they come out of care and that transitional period into adulthood is very tricky for them, and they end up just in accommodation and suddenly find themselves coming out of a home and being on their own. So the House Project is a national charity. It's teamed up with West Sussex and other authorities, and it's designed to support care leavers and hold their hands until they're ready to let go. But what we need is the collaboration from districts and boroughs and their housing providers to help us source the accommodation. So Crawley Borough Council have facilitated our first cohort of 12 who've been on a 9-month course in the Project Hub in Crawley, learning all about their life skills. They're still in care. They're going to get their tenancy, and that tenancy will be secured for a year, guaranteed by West Sussex for a year. And obviously in that time, we'll be helping them find jobs. They'll always be able to come back to the hub to be supported, but we need all of the other districts and boroughs to support us. And I would just like Mid-Sussex to be next. We've got the next cohort already lined up. They will be starting their course around October. Appreciate we might not be in position in October, but I just want that dialogue to be started between the two authorities. So I just wanted it brought here today, and I'm just happy to facilitate and help in any way I can.
Thank you. That seems a good link, I would say, between the two. Thank you very much. Well, I think the officers have probably heard various views and got the general gist of what we would like, or second, or what you're able to gather together for us. So I would.
Yes, Councillor Clark.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you. I'm sort of still very passionate about three things on waste, and there was the project of the food waste. I'd like to see that pushed and carried on and seen through. I think that is it's been a great project, and I'd like to bring that. Also, I know that there was a way we got it on the doorstep. I'm sure everyone who was canvassing got people saying, I've applied for a green bin. I know there's issues with that as well, and that they've got to be rolled out, but that would be great if we can roll that out, because it's something people pay for. And the one that we can't do at this moment a lot about, which we get a lot of flack on, partly because we provide some dog waste bins. I'll mention that's my favourite one. But a lot of developments or management agents do it, and they don't do it very well, and we get the blame for it. But I understand the costs, and I'd like us to talk about that, whether we can solve it or whether we can get the management agents making sure they deliver it, and we don't, as a district council, get the blame for the dog bins. So there's two areas there, because some developments pay for their own dog bins, some we collect, and it's an issue, and I would like it sort of discussed. But I know the issue is, when we brought it up before, I think our vehicles are full up, and probably more full up after lockdown, and it's an issue and it's a cost. But I'd just like to leave that there. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So I think we've got to at least 12 items now. So that's quite a busy agenda. And I think what we'll do, if it's all right with you, is we'll take those away and we'll try to work them into a pattern. And we may go over into the next municipal year. We'll see how that looks. The other committee thought it probably would as well, so I think that's fine. But we've heard what you've said, and it's also been helpful through the chairman to get a sense of your priorities as well. So we'll go away and work on those, and we'll report back next time. And certainly next time you're going to be, as you know, looking at the Environment Act, and I imagine the review of the capital grants may well come back in September as well. I think that may fit in. So at least those two for your first meeting. All right, and then we'll have we'll have a look about the other things as well, whether we can squeeze another one in on the housing and work with West Sussex in particular, but our social housing partners as well.
Yes.
All right, does that sound okay?
Okay. So we'll move to the recommendation. Shall I move to find? So page 9. Right. So the committee has recommended to A, consider the potential scrutiny items suggested in this report and, having regard to the principles set out in this report and the council's constitution, to set a work programme for the municipal year 2023-24 and beyond, and that will be subject to contributions made at this meeting, which notes have been taken. So could you please vote on your buttons?
Including you, Sue.
Including me, yes. Yes. This one.
On the screen. On the screen.
Oh, yeah, I forget.
Just press on the green.
Yeah, there we go. So that's 10 in favour and 1 against. Thank you.
Okay, so you can, thank you, and you can go on and close the meeting.
Thank you very much. Item 7, questions pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 10.2. Due notice of which has been given. I have none. And I close the meeting at 7:21. Thank you all for coming.
Okay.